The Chosen One prophecy of Anakin Skywalker is by far and away the most famous of all of the prophecies developed in Star Wars lore, one that echoes generations, and perhaps the most significant of all prophecies. However, Anakin Skywalker is not the only Jedi that ever had a prophecy foretold about him, and in this video, we will open up a holocron about another ancient prophecy, this time from the Sith. The Sith regarding Mace Windu, one of the most influential Jedi of his era, perhaps second to Yoda and Anakin himself. The prophecy of Anakin Skywalker is muddled. However, by many respects, he did eventually bring balance to the Force by ultimately toppling over the Jedi as well as the Sith, and in this, destroyed the Sith and his master Darth Sidious by giving up his own life. But there was another ancient prophecy developed far after the era of the Chosen One prophecy regarding Mace Windu specifically and how it is intertwined with Mandalorian culture. Specifically though, one major event in Mandalorian lore and an event in history that changed them forever. We are of course talking about the Battle of Geonosis. Before we discuss this prophecy though, let's discuss the woman that made it. The woman that created this prophecy was known as Darth Treya, who stated that a Jedi Knight with a purple blade would end the Mandalorian culture as they knew it. So what exactly does this mean? Well, Darth Treya had a deep-seated hatred for the Mandalorian people, as well as an incredible affinity to use the dark side of the Force to look into the future, getting glimpses of what might occur. The Mandalorians had plagued the era of Treya, as during the time when she was a Jedi Master, the Mandalorians were attempting to conquer the entirety of the Star Wars galaxy, causing the deaths of many of her students and the fall of Revan and Malak to the dark side of the Force. Years later, Treya would too eventually succumb to the wills of the dark side, becoming one of the most knowledgeable and ferocious Sith masters in the entirety of all of Star Wars lore. It was here where Darth Treya would begin glimpsing into the future, something that many Jedi and Sith before her deemed extremely dangerous. However, as she peered deeper and deeper, she saw something strange about the Mandalorians and a Jedi whose fate was now intertwined with them. This was her quote about the Mandalorians and the prophecy that she created revolving around Mace Windu. They will die a death that will last a millennia, until at last, in their code, their history, the shell of their armor upon the shell of a man, too easily slain by a Jedi. So what exactly is this in reference to? Well, we can actually make this fit quite well into Star Wars canon. In Star Wars Legends continuity though, Jango Fett was deemed Mandalore, which essentially denoted Jango Fett as the leader of the Mandalorian creed and culture. And in Legends, it was believed that this culture came to a definitive end at the hands of Mace Windu on Geonosis, when Mace Windu beheaded Jango Fett, who was their de facto leader. However, what I think is interesting about this is again, we can make this fit into Star Wars canon with the events of the Empire and the Mandalorians. And it does actually make sense that if Darth Treya one day becomes canon, that this prophecy could also be canon as well. In Star Wars canon, it is Jango Fett, and as a result of this, the kicking off of the Clone Wars that does eventually result in the defeat of the Mandalorians. The Clone Wars subsequently is what allows the Empire to rise, and the Empire, deeming Mandalore too dangerous towards the end of their reign, would result in the Night of 1,000 Tears, which has been highly detailed in the Mandalorian series. The Night of 1,000 Tears, where essentially the world of Mandalore was turned to glass, and if the Mandalorian people were not killed there, they were scattered from across the galaxy. This is very similar to what would have occurred, slain too easily by a Jedi in Mace Windu. This seems to hint at the fact that had Jango Fett survived his encounter with Mace Windu on Geonosis, that the fate of the Mandalorians perhaps could have been somewhat different. Perhaps they would have been spared or rallied under Jango Fett, although he was a simple foundling. What adds insult to injury though about this prophecy is that Darth Treya predicts it nearly completely accurately when she says that the shell of their armor upon the shell of a man. This is of course in reference to the clone troopers, who themselves could be considered the shell of a man in Jango Fett. Not to mention that the clone troopers' very armor was inspired by the Mandalorian armor of Beskar. meaning that this is yet another aspect of the prophecy revolving around Mace Windu that came true. Prior to her fall to the dark side of the Force, Darth Treya, now named Treya, was a Jedi historian, and took great care in analyzing the many aspects of the Force and prophecy that the Jedi had dictated over time. Treya had even known of the Chosen One prophecy and believed that Revan could have in fact been this Chosen One. However, she would later change her opinion on this. The reason that Darth Treya peered into the future with such focus was because of the fact that she inherently believed that the future would affect the past in a way that she could control and garner more power in the galaxy. Darth Treya is one of the most intelligent Sith Lords that has ever lived, becoming a fully formed Jedi Master and later Dark Lady. Darth Treya became so knowledgeable in fact that Darth Nihilus and Darth Sion deemed her too dangerous, and in a rare moment for the Sith, bound together to strip Darth Treya's potential to touch the Force entirely. Darth Treya was obsessed with seeing shatter points, ironically, a Force ability that later Mace Windu would possess. Treya possessed the rare ability to perceive shatter points, which she described as fractures. In her last moments, Treya was also skilled enough at predicting the future and was able to foresee the death of the Mandalorian bounty hunter. It's important to note here that she was only able to see this through a shatter point, and this likely in some way connected both Mace Windu and Darth Treya through the Force itself, echoing through time. This is incredibly important as Darth Treya predicted this 4,000 years before it occurred. Shatterpoint is actually an ability that cannot be taught. It has to be inherited, meaning that only a very few select Force wielders are ever gifted this ability. And it is likely that in some way, this intertwined both Mace Windu and Darth Treya, and allowed Darth Treya one final vision on the destruction of the Mandalorians through the Force itself. But anyway, my friends, and students of the Force, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Darth Treya, and this ancient prophecy about Mace Windu? And if you would like to see more about Darth Treya explored on the channel as we open up another holocron, be sure to reach out and Force crush that subscribe button. But until then, my friends, may the Force be with you and have a great day.